Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans, and I'm your transformation coach, health strategist, and internationally published author, helping take your life and your business, your health, fitness, mindset, and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And today I've got an amazing guest all the way from, you're in Canada, aren't you, to Toronto?
I am.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I'm in
But
Toronto,
now
Canada.
normally I'm dressed like Nav. I'm in the suit and everything, but today I'm in the t-shirt, the cap, and I probably should even have a background backwards here because today we've got a topic that I don't know much about, but my daughters probably know more about this than I do. We're going to talk everything about Metaverse with Mr. Metaverse here. Nav Gupta, just welcome to the call.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Just so excited to be here and talk about the latest technologies and what's coming out and how big this next step is going to be for a lot of us going forward. And as you said, this is great because you put on the hat and everything, but this technology is not only for the youth, it's actually going to revolutionize so many across. So I'm so grateful to be here and thank you for having me.
Yeah, and look, this is like we're living through a really unique time, aren't we? Because if I think back to like I started my business in 2009, started thinking about it in 2007, and the like websites and like Facebook, social media, and everything back in 2009, the way like the phone, for instance, the way the phone works now. My very first phone in business, here in Australia, you could send a text message and you could make phone calls. That was it. And a text message was the old, keypad, and it was 22 cents a text message. Whereas now here we've got, unlimited phone calls, unlimited text, all that kind of stuff. You watch videos on your phone, you're doing all that kind of stuff. Social media was not really a thing back then.
Yeah.
And now we're living through this time with the metaverse, which why don't we stop there? Tell us what the metaverse is, because you're right. I like reading how, like you're looking at all these huge companies like like Google, obviously Facebook now, Meta is investing in it, like talking about $1 trillion like economy this is going to be. And yet there are so many people out there that don't even know what the metaverse is. So maybe let's assume that no one knows what it is first. So why don't you?
That's exactly it.
Why don't you tell us what it is?
No, absolutely, and I'll do my best. So the metaverse is being defined every single day. It's like trying to have someone explain to you the internet. Everyone's going to give you a different definition based on who they are. The younger generation will say, "Hey, well, it's what gets me on TikTok." A developer would be like, "It's a whole bunch of code on servers," and maybe the older generation might be, "Well, it's that box that sits in front of the TV." That allows me to see my grandkids through the internet. So, or through the video phone. The whole point is the internet has been defined and is constantly being defined very differently as users use it. The same way the metaverse is like that. And in fact, the metaverse is, I'll give my definition. It's like the 3D internet. It is literally that. In fact, the way we're doing it at Charmy is putting it as a layer above our current internet. And if you can imagine now, it got its roots in the video game world. You can imagine old games like World of Warcraft and Second Life. Until today, Second Life still exists. Over 600 million US dollars a year is generated in that virtual world. People are living a Second Life inside of it. That's why it's called Second Life. People are getting married. They're having friends. They're having relationships. You see this in World of Warcraft, for the older generation who remember that, you might have had a friend or a nephew or someone who went into World of Warcraft and they never came out, right?
So in simple terms, I like to keep things simple.
Yep.
So what you're saying is that effectively we've gone from, if we just think gaming for now, where we're obviously like a character that was like shooting or playing or whatever. But now we've created like an avatar, if you like, of ourselves, and we are actually in the game. And
that's right. And you're basically what's happening now is you're not just going and fighting a dragon. You could in some of these experiences, but now you're going shopping. You're going maybe to a virtual store to actually buy something, then hopping over into another concert. And people will be like, well, why would I even do that?
That was going to be the next question.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no, no. And
my
I
daughter
get this.
loves it.
That's right. You know, and it's the next generations that they're being hand built for this. And the best way I can explain this is, you know, if you have not experienced this, this is literally a different experience. You can be anything, do anything, and it gives people this opportunity now. So, for example, over here in Canada, we have snowstorms, really bad ones sometimes. You can't even make it out to a shopping center. Now, when we go online, the 2D internet, you're seeing photos, you know, you're going and scrolling, but that doesn't give our brains that, you know, spatial awareness. And our minds work with spatial awareness. And especially walking through the aisles of a store, you know, that gives a different perception. For example, where the actual, let's say, cereal boxes are in height can determine something different for me, such as, hey, this one has a different perceived value than the one that's on the bottom of the shelf, yes. Right? Whereas if I'm going through thousands of, you know, listings and I have to constantly scroll up and down, that might not be the best way. And, you know, when we're trying to visually see something, it's very different. Hence the 3D internet. This is now starting to change things, and the way we move around it, it's going to revolutionize a lot of the stuff that we do. And that's just the beginning part. Now, what has happened is you've got virtual reality, 3D, you've got, you know, the economy's coming in with blockchain, and that is where this key comes in now. When you start integrating these virtual currencies in, and you start now doing actual economic stuff, where you are now able to sell stuff. And so, for example, we're the first metaverse that can actually do 3D prints. So this is a little 3D printed, you know, experience. And what that does now is, imagine now, perfect example, Match.com. You went and you found your partner there. Well, what do you have to remember that? In these 3D worlds, you can have a full digital print, a 3D photo that is printed out, and now you can give that and say, we met here in these virtual environments. And a lot of people are probably thinking, who the heck is going to do that? No one's going to do that, right? We had the same conversation. So I'm from the internet days where people thought I was crazy that I was online. They're like, this internet stuff will never work. But we take for granted that everyone here uses QWERTY keyboards. Yeah. This was never a requirement back then. We had to train people that mouses and keyboards were the way because no one used them.
Yes, yes.
And so, yeah. So this is it.
It's interesting, isn't it? No, and it really changes your thinking, because you like, but why would you live that way, etc. And perhaps a good example is, so my daughter, she's never really been into computers. So she's 17 and a half now, and for the last sort of, well, COVID had sort of started, I suppose, and then she wanted to get a bigger like laptop so that she could go between her mum's place and everything, the bigger screen and all that kind of stuff. She started getting into a different type of game. So she moved away from more the, I'll say like cartoony type avatars to stepping into, where she plays with, I don't know, you might be a weaponized person.
Right.
And so what's curious about that is, so she stepped into this virtual world with her best friend. Yeah. And then through that, they've connected with other people in their school, and then they've started playing. And then that has meant that the other people in the school, they've brought their friends, and now they're all playing. And she's met a whole bunch of friends, and they're all really, really sweet kids. And she's like, at the time of recording this, we had Valentine's Day this week. Yeah. And she's met her she's not calling him quite a boyfriend yet, but she's met her boyfriend, who happens to live locally, but met him through this, if you like, gaming metaverse type world. That's right. So, I think that's really cool. And so they're kind of escaping from their real world, getting into this inner world. And yes, that's
right. You're hitting it right on the nail there. Is it comes back to community. It comes back to people. We all crave connection. And that is exactly what the metaverse is about, is connecting us in ways that we have not been able to connect before. When you go on a website, we see the chat bots, you see this little pop-up that comes up that says, here, talk to somebody, but it's still very impersonal, right? It's still not as close to reality. But when you come into these virtual worlds, it's actually a little bit closer. The number one metaverse system in the world is our basic human eyes and mind, just being in person. That there's nothing that could touch that experience. And I just want to assure everyone, we're not here. That is not going to replace anything. Like, you cannot replace that. We're blessed. Thanks to God. That is the number one thing. But what's happening now is this gives us that opportunity in a place where we can actually feel safe. Coming back to safety is such an important tool. Many women who are going out, it's always a challenge to go out without being, objectified or treated in such a way where I feel fear of going out to even say hello.
You're not physically safe.
That's right. You're not physically safe. Perfect example. We're in the mental toughness and body show. Health is such a big thing. And I'm also a bodybuilder myself. I know when I go to the gym, ladies who are in there, they're always feeling, the pressure of like, if I dress, everyone's watching me.
Yeah, that's right. People watching them, and
that's right. And it's always that challenge. But now with these virtual technologies and the metaverse, you could throw on a headset, go in there and focus on a good workout, and you're not going to be, treated in any sort of disrespect. And at the same time, even in Charmy, we're already thinking of adding, like, our avatars have a sphere of protection so that no one can come and, start touching your avatar, which is another key thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are the sorts of things. And so what I'd like to do is also just give you guys, give you something, Rob, that will really help you and your listeners out today. I'm going to give you a quick little definition that has helped clear a lot of people's mindsets so they can understand a little bit more of how this works. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So imagine the word internet. The internet has websites inside of it, and websites have web pages.
Yes.
Right? Now, imagine the word metaverse. Imagine that it was equivalent to the word internet. The metaverse has galaxies, and these galaxies have plots of land.
Yes.
So when you're now thinking about all these different metaverse experiences, such as Roblox or Decentraland or Sandbox or anything else, those are all galaxies, including the ones that Charmy builds. Those are galaxies. Within these galaxies are plots of land, or like web pages, and people can now make them, they can buy them, they can do different things, and each one is very different. Just like when you go on a website, you've got an about us page, you've got a contact us, you've got an informational page about your products and services. The same thing, you can have a plot of land that's an event space for, maybe it's a party. You have another plot of land which could be a wedding plot, right? There's so many different things that can happen. And then interoperability, jumping from one plot to another and being able to interact with people, that is the huge thing. That's going to help us now in education. It's going to help us in people coming together in these virtual events, office workers now being able to connect all around the world, not just on a chat, but now having that spatial awareness where I can actually go in, whether it's in 3D and throw up like 50 different screens with my colleagues. We could be in different parts of the world. And when we get into the VR technologies, it's even more immersive, and it makes us feel like we're right there. It's really incredible when you actually see these things.
So that's a really nice way to describe it. But I can imagine there's still people thinking, but it just sounds like a game or that kind of thing. If we step outside gaming for a moment and bring it back to say actual business and so forth.
Absolutely.
Well, I suppose first question, do you think the way that this is growing, that we will get to the stage where websites will no longer exist? In the way that we know them.
Right. So I think that there's always going to be a 2D element. Like, there is certain things that do very well in a 2D form, such as, for example, we still read books. We've got some better tools now, such as e-readers, which allow us to have like 1,000 books on a single, device, but we still read, right? That's still there. And so reading is, I don't think that's going to change too much, but we are now going to have new options to experience this thing. Just like the radio, there's a lot of people who still like to listen to it. It hasn't gone away. It's just changed form. We now listen online, right?
Okay. Yeah, cool. So is it going to work like this? Let's just say that Rob Evans, I have a standard avatar, which is, like I am right now. And then the equivalent, maybe I'm not using the right words here, but if I want to say, go on a virtual shopping to a Westfield shopping center here and just browse, like go for a walk, and I want to, look, there's a phone shop. I'll step in there and I'll have a look at the latest. phones and stuff. Is that how it will work? I'll have this standard avatar. I will say, I want to go shopping today. So
That's right.
rather than jumping in the car and driving down there to do it, I'll jump into this virtual space and whatever, well, it might not necessarily look exactly like down there because not every shop has got a Metaverse type shop.
That's right.
But basically, I'll just walk through and it won't look like, unless I put on my virtual goggles, I suppose, it won't look like a normal shop. It'll be kind of like avatar type shop, and I can go in and have a look. So you're using that example of the supermarket before, and I say, okay, there's cornflakes there.
That's right.
Am I going to, well, maybe rather than make it up, what am I going to see there? Am I going to see like a cartoon style cornflakes box and I can click on it and
or something that could be looking like the actual product? I mean, the technology is getting even better. So, imagine now you go in, virtual experience, you see it, you've got your physical cart there. Okay, you drop it in just like you would in a physical experience, and you're walking around. You're going to have advertisers of these products trying to fight for space, just like they do in regular retail right now, where they're fighting to be at a certain shelf level. You're going to have that sort of thing. And then when you check out, the difference here is now when you actually check out, it goes into a different cart system where maybe Amazon is already shipping it out to you. Yes, right. Gotcha. And that saves you time. And this is the key here is, as we're, post-COVID, you're going in and, you're now more cautious about, diseases and so on. So, that's going to still last for us for several years. But then on top of that, perfect example, I went to the movie theater and, for many years we have not gone to movie theaters, right? Yes. I completely forgot that, movie theaters, as much as we love the big screen, we don't always like the noise, and the challenge
and all that sort of stuff.
It gets, like I went in, I was trying to watch Wakanda Forever, and there was a whole bunch of teenagers yelling and screaming. And now these TikTok, fan things, we went to see the Minions, and there's some TikTok challenge where now all these teenagers would come and they were supposed to laugh randomly inside of the thing. The adults didn't know what was going on. These people were just laughing at it. You've got these unusual things happening. You're like, can I really just get a good experience? Yeah. So, we are now moving into a world of customization, in my opinion. And that is, we want to have these beautiful experiences with a custom experience just built for Rob or just built for Nav. We want to have education that fits you and the way you learn. We want to have an experience that is, unique to you. Perfect example. I was talking to another company that's what do you call it? A tour company. And imagine they've got about 3 or 4 different tours in, I think it was Bali in that area.
Yes.
And so the thing is now, to get here from, let's say, where I am in Canada or other people around the world, might cost $20,000, $30,000 or more to just go on that trip. And I'm talking US dollars. And if there's 4 different variations of that trip, you're like, man, I don't want to mess this up. But how do you experience that without going there? You'd have to go there 4 different times and spend a lot of money, versus if you spent, let's say, $10 on a virtual ticket, got to experience, that side. Maybe you experience all 4 for maybe $40, and you're like, you know what? I know which one I'd like to go on. That helps you as a buyer solidify it. So when you go for the real experience, it's even more incredible, and you got, even more of, what you were looking for, if that makes sense.
Yes. So what we're really talking about is having a unique experience in the digital world. And people might say, well, why would I do that? Well, I guess it's a bit like, or why do some people play a game versus, or why do some people go to the movies? Why do some people, stream something on Netflix or something?
I'll tell you, Rob, malls of the future are going to be empty. They're going to be empty. They're going to be empty rooms. You're going to throw on a pair of augmented reality glasses, and all of a sudden it'll come to life.
Yes.
And when you go and see a dummy, for example, that dummy isn't just going to be wearing clothes. It's going to be your avatar that looks like you. It's your measurements, and clothes of that shop are going to be all on you. Literally, you'll say, oh yeah, that actually is good on me. It looks good on me. And you're going to also see with augmented reality, the clothes hopping from the actual shelves, coming on your body, and you can actually see it on you. Like we're already seeing that with, I think, some of these shoe apps where you can actually go on your phone and just point it at your foot, and now the shoe appears on your foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So let's talk about business, because if you,
Yeah, sure.
this is a $1 trillion economy down the track. And it's a bit like, I think I picked this up from your website, saying that, like if you missed having a website back, whenever, you're going to be left behind. So why not be on the forefront here? So let's just say, like, most of the time where I'm spending my business in the health and wellness space and that kind of thing. So how do businesses go about thinking how, like, is now the right time to be starting to do something, or is it too early to do something in the metaverse? Like, for instance, if I'm getting people to say, come in and do a workout with me, and get those health benefits by doing the physical movement, what's the benefit in somebody going into the virtual world and doing a bicep curl?
Absolutely.
How do we adapt the metaverse into our business type of thinking?
No, that's a great question there, right? So I'll tell you firstly where these $1 trillion, numbers are coming from. First and foremost, what's happening is when you start integrating these virtual currencies in, people are doing business 24/7 inside of these virtual economies. They're even creating inside of these economies. So for example, let's say you have someone coming in who's a customer who wants to get their health and wellness done. They're doing bodybuilding, and all of a sudden they want to now, get something for the avatar. They can actually do that. Maybe it's something that's, a virtual class that your avatar is already pre-recorded, but now they can actually go in with the VR and get that spatial awareness, right? And you coming in VR can actually walk around your client, right? So that's just one example. But now coming back to actual business, how does this help them? Well, they don't have to travel to your location. Real estate costs are high in the physical, so you don't have to have that physical location. On a Zoom call, that can be a challenge, especially when you're trying to show them how to do certain exercises. And it's like, you have to turn around, go left and right. And to actually understand that, that's going to be a challenge. Aside from that now, the way you're going to now generate revenue for your customer is going to change. And here's what I mean. So before, your customer may have come in and had this experience of going on your website, putting it into a shopping cart, but now they can actually see sizes and stuff, right? They can actually now get an idea of what this is. So when you're actually showing them, let's say, a 10-pound weight or a certain piece of clothing, they get a better idea. And so, perfect example. Have you ever experienced where you're seeing something on an image and you're like, oh man, you went and saw it and you're like, oh, that's bigger than I thought it was. Right? Or smaller than I thought it was. That's a sort of thing. But in augmented realities and virtual realities, you can actually take those products and throw them onto your table and position them in your physical world where it's going to be, and say, you know what, I actually like that. What ends up happening is now you can actually go through the process of testing, right? That is something that we didn't have before really well, where you could actually go in and, let's say, try these different IKEA beds and so on, or these tables, put them in your physical environment, say, you know what, that actually matches my wall and everything, versus you're buying a lot of doodads, which it's like, I can't even return this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really different thinking, isn't it? Because it's like, okay, I can kind of understand that, but before you know it, it's going to be here in such a big way that we've kind of got to catch up. Right. What do you think are the biggest challenges for you? So you've mentioned it a couple of times. Your business is called Charmy, and
that's right.
We'll talk a little bit more about how people can get in touch with you shortly. But sure. What are the biggest challenges for you in this space? In like taking it to the next level, getting more people involved, etc.
No, a good question. It's honestly, it's education, right? It's helping people to understand that aha moment, because right now we want to get people to actually say, well, why do I even need this stuff, right? And that's what we've created at Charmy, is these tools which get you to that point. So if you've ever heard of WordPress made it really easy for anyone to make a website without programming. Yes. That's what Charmy is. CHAARMI.com. We kept it simple as a name. You just throw it on any web server and a full metaverse galaxy appears with no programming. We want you to focus on finding these solutions in the metaverse. The people who started early in the internet days, they started off building the first bookstore. Today it's Amazon, right? The first of the search engines. Now today, Google is running all of that, right? The first to do pizza was Pizza Hut, right? So the people who took the risks early and they started trying to figure out, how can I use this for my business? How can I monetize this? They're going to be the ones who are going to be the market leaders in the future when this happens. And so to your previous question on, is this too early? No, I think this is the perfect time for those who are serious about these next 10, 15, 20 years ahead. Because what's going to happen is now, if you see the internet, it took about 25, 30 years to get to where it is today. Imagine if you had started in the 90s and figured out those questions at that time. Those are the people who are leading today the entire world financially. So
yes. So do you think we're talking, like, to see this more mainstream outside gaming, like what, the next 5 years? We're talking next 12 months?
I'd still say about 10 years. I'd say about 10 years when you're going to start really, like, it's everywhere. Like, you can't even, see a place without it. Because, and I'll give you a quick example. You wake up in the morning, your AR glasses come on. And so there's going to be metaverse spaces in AR and VR and 3D, because that's it. They're all going to merge and have that sort of thing. You start off in the morning, and now right on your eyes as you're brushing your teeth, it tells you how many, minutes you got left to brush. At the same time, your messages are flying by through your eyes. You could see it. It's also telling you your body size. Hey, you know what? You didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you got to change this or that. And guess what? For the women, maybe you should apply makeup over here, because you know what? That there's less blood over here, and I can detect that. Like, that's how advanced some of these glasses will be. From there, you jump right into another world to maybe go to your virtual office, or you're driving, right? And that's now, you're getting to that. From there, at lunchtime, you go to a party, but because you can't go in, 1,000 kilometers away, you're appearing virtually, right? And so people are able to see your virtual avatar as they're walking by with their augmented reality or virtual reality glasses. People are now connecting in ways we've never done before. That's going to be the future, and you're going to start seeing more and more of that. And most importantly is the economy. People will be spending in these worlds, and not just, $5, $10, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars will be done in these virtual worlds. And it'll just become a part of life, in my opinion.
So what is, I don't know whether you have an insight into this or not, but like Facebook / Meta, Zuckerberg, obviously they're spending billions in this space. What are they doing at the moment? Like,
right. Well, I think, in my personal opinion about it, I think what happened was they threw a lot of money, put a whole bunch of smart people together, and hoped that something would happen. I agree that they've done a lot of stuff. They've helped to push the industry, but the blockchain industry also did a lot of pushing for the metaverse as well. What I believe it's going to take is a lot more stuff, listening to customers, figuring out why they need this. But let us not doubt the fact that, kind of me and a lot of others, including Mark Zuckerberg, we all went up on the spaceship. We saw what's coming. The future of social, the future of social media, of everything that we're going to see is going to be in these 3D worlds. When you go in to check out, Roblox, Minecraft, hundreds of millions of children are there today. In the next 10, 15 years, they're going to be adults. Yes. And they already know this stuff. All businesses are now going to see that. And if you're not in the metaverse, and these people are, it's a perfect example of now, everyone got into social media, and then all of a sudden they're like, why aren't my tweets working the way they used to, or my Facebook? Everyone jumped to TikTok. If you are in TikTok, oh my gosh, you could be a big star overnight. If your business is not on TikTok, well, you're like, what happened? I'm doing my social media, no one's there. It's because the next generations have jumped there. And if you're behind, guess what? You're not enjoying it. But the ones who were there early, they're making so much money. You're like, wow, why didn't I hear about this TikTok stuff earlier?
And so I guess with the technology, as it gets further and further, so like right now we've got maybe some people that look like cartoon characters, but in the gaming world, like some of the stuff that my daughter's playing, like they look, I don't know the name of the game, but they look like humans. Like the characters are so good. I think there's
that's right,
a new Harry Potter game that's just come out.
He
hasn't got it yet. Yep. He's waiting for it to be discounted, but they look like real humans. And that's so I guess we'll get to the stage where we create the Rob Evans avatar and it looks like that. I'm thinking beyond and thinking about what like the generations that are coming, and thinking about what social media has done to like the headspace and body image and all that kind of stuff working in you know, the space of health and wellness, and it's been very, very, very negative. I guess I'm worried about perhaps what the future generations that aren't even born yet coming, creating these, I don't know, let's just say that there's a 15-year-old kid that is overweight or obese or not completely happy with their body, and all of a sudden they create this completely different avatar that looks human, and they end up living their life through that world, but beating themselves up how they really look. I don't know what we can do to help that, but I can see some of these, you know, these virtual worlds.
We're going to have that.
People are living a fake world in their, you know, this is the person that I want to be, but really they're depressed and they're having some issues. And I'm not quite sure what we can do with that. We need
I'll tell you right now. So right now what's happening, there's a lot of interesting movement with AI, with ChatGPT and so on. When we integrate that into these virtual avatars, people start becoming what they actually perceive themselves as. Yeah. And so what ends up happening is those who are obese and overweight, they might see a really amazing character who's got, you know, perfect body and everything. But now using ChatGPT and AI, we can actually have that character talk back to the actual human being and say, you know what, we got to work out today. We got to work hard. Here's what you need to get fit. And then they start copying that stuff. When they're doing these exercises in the virtual, there's a mind-body connection, and this is why visualization is so important. Imagine now, people, when they do it in the virtual, and I saw a report as well, when they do it in their mind, they start doing it in real, and they start hitting the gym, they start doing that. It becomes this habit, you know, producing system. If we put those things in place, then it can actually do for good. But if we don't, and we keep on treating it like a toy or a game, that's when you're going to get the challenges that you're talking about, where it's depression and all that other stuff. So
I'm just conscious of our time here.
I know. There's so much in this space.
I know. We could talk all kinds of things. We haven't even really, and we don't have time to do it now. Maybe we'll make time for another call. We haven't really talked about blockchain and how that relates and so forth, because there's some people think blockchain, think crypto and all that, but there's so many other uses to it. Exactly. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, and if they want to learn more about the metaverse and your business and so forth.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in setting up your own galaxy today to get started immediately, you can actually go to digitalocean.com. It is a web hosting provider. And if you just go to their marketplace and type in the word metaverse, Charmy is the actual solution there. And you can actually set up, get yourself up and running and build your own metaverse galaxy today. We've got the free edition there. It's going to cost you about $7 a month just for the actual, you know, server. But other than that, you'll be up and running. And then if you want the actual full edition, it's just $99 US a month. So it's not going to break the bank. It gets you up and running to test out these technologies and see how you can actually, you know, use this metaverse stuff for your business to either grow your customers, to, you know, get into the space, or prepare for the future as more of these younger generations start coming in and more people start learning about the metaverse.
And on your website, is your website, is it Charmy?
Charmy, that's right. CHAARMI.com. Charmy.com.
I'll put a link below the podcast here. But you've got some videos on there showing and talking through some of the things about how it works, et cetera, et cetera.
That's right.
So, that's right. I know that this is going to be the next big thing, and so many people, certainly my age, not even in that space. But you're right, that the kids that are like my kids, really into it. My youngest one's not yet, but my eldest one is.
They're being custom built as citizens of these technologies.
Yes.
Like for them, it's normal. Yeah,
that's right. And they can spend hours and hours and hours in there. So I think there's so much opportunity for business, and we're basically being left behind and saying, well, if you think back, I'm not going to start a website for my business, because you think, when it first came out, you thought, well, what's the point? People just come into my shop. Well, so many.
Now you can't even think about starting a business in general, most people, without having a website and a social media platform of some kind, right?
Yes. Yeah. And look, the way that social media is going, and that what you were saying before about the glasses, and people might be thinking, no one's going to be cleaning their teeth with these virtual reality goggles. Don't think goggles, think normal glasses.
That's right. That's the future, is augmented reality glasses that are just like regular glasses, and you're walking around and it's putting a secondary layer on your physical world.
Yes.
Perfect example. I was just I know we have time, no more time. Imagine a doctor walking down their hallway. There's a whole bunch of patients. They would have to, go and check out clipboards. But in the future, artificial intelligence could use that actual view, figure out who's about to have a heart attack with heart rates and sensors right above in the physical 3D world. A doctor could actually save lives just by walking down the hall and they're looking at the patients. I mean, that's just one example of how this technology can work. Imagine, in all of your world, how this is going to change from cooking, knowing which times to do things. And there's little timers above your pots to your own physical body, as I told you, where now the AI can actually see your body and say, oh, you know what? You're low on water right now. You should actually get some,
Well, that's right. Yeah. And we haven't even really talked about the artificial intelligence so much at the moment. But I've just this week, actually, I've had 2 emails from different providers around AI and how their apps now use AIs to, say, create social media posts, and you type in words and it creates a post. Then you can grab this and you can put it here and whatever. And it's like it's really, really powerful. And unless you're starting to look in this space and engage in this space now, certainly from a business perspective, you're going to get left behind.
Oh yeah, it is. It's moving at light speeds. And I could tell you, if you've never tried this AI stuff yet, go and check out ChatGPT. It is going to blow your mind because it feels like it's another human there. If you've ever struggled with Google searches, you type in something and there's like 1,000 pages before you get what you want because so many ads. This is why Google is running scared because, this is not a joke. When you actually test out ChatGPT, it gives you the solution in a way that is concise. It works. Yes. You can even tell it to code you something. It'll do programming. And perfect example, I said, program me this web page. Then I said, you know what? I don't like the red button. Can you change it to a green button? It recoded it and gave me a green button. Like it is incredible what this technology is.
The robots are here finally.
Yep.
Let's go to use them for good.
Definitely.
Nav, we kept talking for ages, so I think what we might do is might arrange another time to talk about from bodybuilding to blockchain to AI and all kinds of things. So it's been an absolute pleasure to get to learn more about the metaverse. I appreciate your energy and the connection we've had here today. Thank you so much. I will put the links in below how you can get in touch with Nav. And look, you've educated me a lot about the metaverse today, as well as our audience. So thank you for adding all the value.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And, with every new technology, there's going to be challenges. Let's not fear it. If we actually, do it right, we can actually make very good use of this technology and it can help so many people around the world.
Just limited by the imagination.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much, Nav. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.